were our debt-related expenditures less than $350 per student, or property taxes collected per penny of tax effort greater than $200,000 per student. On this, Latexo received 4 of the 5 points. And one of the questions was, what was the total amount of indebtedness? Now, what we did on this, and I'm just gonna stick this here in front of you while I'm talking about this, is we figured it on what it was in 2010. At the time, the total indebtedness was $2.175000.
That represents all of our bonds.
That was the bonded indebtedness right then. The debt per student, at that point, we had 462 students, would come out to be 4707.80 per student, okay? The debt payment per student would come out to be 577.03. Now, we went just a little bit further and we figured it with the new bond that's coming out of 1116 with this so far's students. And here, look how much less, 4,700 versus 3,700 and 577 versus 503.
I asked Joe to come up with that because I thought that was a good benchmark, something that we could look at and we could compare to other schools when we go to talking about taking on more debt. When you break that down into debt per student, like she did, $4,700 worth back in that year, and you say this year is $3,700?
With the new bond that it's changing to, with the new bonded indebtedness and the new student count,
The refunding bond.
right.
Okay, why is that, that's using 481, when we get over here, it's not that high, is it?
That's what I've got in my report for this time is actually, I've got 487 as of the 9th.
That when we figured that,
We pulled
we got
that, we
in
used
some new
481,
students too,
yeah.
I think, since then, so.
Well, that's pretty impressive. We've knocked that down by redoing it and increasing the number of students. Would it, is that not public information that every school, you can get their bonded indebtedness?
Yeah. Look at the school first.
Well,
Oh, really?
I don't know if it
That's
tells what
public
they're.
knowledge. Any school in the state of Texas, you can look up their school
That's-
first rating and know right where it is.
Right, but I don't know if it will tell me what their bonded indebtedness is. I don't know if that's,
You can find
I'm
that.
sure we'll be able to find
The
that.
comptroller actually just did a study about that. I don't know if she listed what everybody's was, but she told how much debt was in the school systems around the state of Texas.
but we have to know
But
per school what their
if you
bonded.
went to that
at
school-
time, too.
If you go to that school, they'll have to tell you what their bond payments are. I'm sure that there's somewhere that they have to tell you what their bonded indebtedness is.
I'm just saying,
I'm-
if we use that in the future, if we start talking about more debt or whatever, that would be a good benchmark to look and see, if so-and-so is doing that and they're doing all right, or
Okay.
And
not.
if we can get our hands on their audit, which I think I can probably find it online, all that info's in there, every bit of it. And then I could do like a spreadsheet on it or something.
And the audit is all public knowledge.
It's all public record.
It's all
so-
public record.
And their bonded indebtedness is in there, so. We can find that. All right. Number 10, no disclosure in the annual audit report of material non-compliance. There were none noted. We had no material non-compliance, so we got 5 of 5 points. Full accreditation? How you say it?
Accreditation.
That's what I thought, but it just sure didn't sound right. Status in relation to financial management practices. Latexo received 5 of 5 points in that. Budgeted expenditures, were they less than total revenues, other resources, and fund balance? Latexo ISD had 1.653165 in surplus, so we received 5 of 5 points. Were the capital projects adequately funded? Latexo ISD had all projects adequately funded, so we received 5 of 5 points on that. The ratio of cash and investments to deferred revenue. Our cash and investments were 1.654121. Our deferred revenue was 264,524. Therefore, we received 5 of 5 points.
Is that deferred revenue, is that money coming from the state?
It can be
It's owed
any,
us.
it can be deferred revenue from the state, mostly that's what it is. It's money that they owe us for a prior year that they haven't paid yet, like that 461 or 416, whatever it was we were waiting on.
It doesn't have anything to do with tax money.
Nothing. Because we receive all our tax money when it's paid. If it's old taxes, we receive it when somebody pays it, but that's not deferred revenue.
We receive that tax money like monthly.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. We receive it sometimes twice a month sometimes, especially during October and November. Kind of slows, then a lot in January, and then it kind of slows down. Number 15 is the administrative cost ratio less than the threshold ratio. Latexo's ratio is 0.1537 compared to the acceptable ratio of 0.2654, so Latexo received 5 points on that. The ratio of students to teachers within range according to our district size. Latexo is 1 to 10.4992, which compared to the state standard for our size of a school district, the range is 1 to 7 to 1 to 22. So we fell within the range, and we received 5 of 5 points. The ratio of students to total staff within the range according to this district size. Latexo's is 1 to 5.1651, which compares to the state standard for a district our size, which is 1 to 5 to 1 to 14. So we fall within that range and got our 5 of 5 points on that. Decrease in fund balance over last 2 fiscal years, less than 20%. If total revenues exceeded expenditures in general fund, then the district receives 5 points. Our revenues for that year were $4,415,459. Our expenditures were $3,691,132. Therefore, we received 5 of 5 points. Cash and investments greater than 0. Well, Latexo's cash and investments were 1.654121, so therefore we received 5 of 5 points. Investment earnings in all funds, excluding debt service and capital projects, did they meet or exceed the 3-month treasury bill rate? Latexo received 5 of 5 points on that as well. The reporting requirements that are related to this public meeting are superintendent's contract, reimbursements received by the superintendent and other board members, outside compensation received by the superintendent for professional consulting and or other personal services, gifts received by executive officers and board members, business transactions between Latexo ISD and board members, summary schedule of data submitted to TEA for financial solvency provisions, and additional information. Now I'm going to go into each one of these. The superintendent's contract, it must be attached to the first report or posted on the Latexo ISD website. Ours is posted on the website. The reimbursements to superintendent and board members. Here they all are. You're welcome to look at those. I think if you brought your packet that I've already sent, you've got it in your stuff anyway. If anybody has any questions. If not, I'm going to move along with that. Outside compensation to the superintendent, there have been none. Gifts received by executive officers or board members, there are none to disclose. Business transactions between Latexo ISD and board members. Latexo ISD to Patton Exxon, which Patton. They're as follows there, what we purchased from Patton's Exxon through the year. Keep it in mind, this is 10-11, not this year. Summary schedule of data submitted to the TEA for the financial solvency provisions. This is something new that we had to do. So they're all listed there if anybody has any questions. And anybody who needs a copy of this school first report, we've got some extras to it. Do we?
We got.
Maybe.